I am Madeline Irene,
And I am Chloe Osborne.
and this
This
is
is
Pretty
Pretty
Graphic
Graphic
Podcast.
Welcome back.
We are happy to have you here. We've got some fun, exciting stories to jump in with, right?
Yes. Today we are bringing you Reddit stories that will have you giggling, crying, scratching your head, and asking, "You're kidding, right?" Let's get into it.
Ooh,
Our first story is about 6 years old, and it is posted to r/Tiffu, which stands for Today I Fucked Up.
okay.
And it is titled Today I fucked up by living in a dark bedroom for 6 years.
Oof.
The overhead fan in our bedroom uses one of those compact halogen light bulbs. 6 years ago, the bulb burned out and got really dim, just barely aglow. I bought a replacement bulb, but when I put that one in, it was also barely lighting up, so I realized the unit was bad.
Uh,
The fan still worked great. It is literally the best fan I've ever had because it moves a ton of air and is super quiet. The fan had also been a gift from when we moved into our house. The unit cost over $400, so I didn't really want to replace it, even though our bedroom doesn't get much natural light, so it is pretty dark. So, since then, over the years, my wife and I had to make do with no overhead light. We open the windows during the day and at night use a combination of bedside lamps and the bathroom light. It is never really as good of lighting as an overhead lamp, so I keep some flashlights up there for when we are cleaning or looking for something. After 6 years of living in the dark, this winter I just decided I would replace the damn thing. But before I did, I decided to try one last time with another bulb because, however unlikely, it is possible both bulbs I had tried were bad. So I'm up there installing the new light bulb, and I grab the remote for the fan because the fan has a remote. And as I'm turning the light on, I realize the goddamn thing is
ah,
dimmable.
dimmable. Damn.
For 6 fucking years, we lived with the inconvenience of no overhead light, and the whole time it was just because the damn thing was set to dim. Fuck me.
Dude, uh, I just like he didn't think to Reddit it. I mean, not Reddit it, dude. Like Google it. I'm getting there. Like he didn't think to Google like the model or like I don't. 6 years?
Yeah.
You didn't puzzle piece it together?
And I
Uh,
mean, even yeah, I don't understand how you wouldn't. But at the same time, I do stuff like that all the time. Um, Stuff that
like just live the hard way.
yeah, like if there is a
Yeah.
hard way to learn something, that's how I'm gonna learn it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. You know what? Sometimes it be.
It be. I found some comments that I wanted to share with you.
Ooh.
The first one says, I had an overhead projector system installed for my home theater, a top of the line Epson. It was really dim, and I was disappointed, but since they had installed it, I figured that was normal. 5 years of watching movies, playing video games, Netflix, everything. Super dim. Then, last year, as I'm up there trying to adjust the picture size, I find a brightness knob. It was set to almost zero.
Uh,
God damn it. 5 years. The whole PS4 era.
oh.
That means that person played all of their PS4 games in the darkest setting. There was no adjusting the brightness for them.
You said enjoy your picture. Installed that shit at zero.
Somebody replies to that first comment and says, on the plus side, you probably seriously extended your bulb life so you can enjoy it for years more at proper brightness without having to replace it. Somebody replies to that and say, I love looking on the bright side. Another person says, good, because for 5 years, he sure wasn't.
Yeah, no.
The next comment says, long term troll. Your wife knew about it and was waiting for you to finally try to fix it. Somebody replies to that and says, it's Raymond's suitcase on the stairs, and everybody everybody loves rainbow cookies. Which is probably true. She probably did definitely know and was just waiting for him to try and fix it.
Get it together. Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have. I don't. I could not. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
Personally,
personally
my shows on zero, which means, but that means two people
right didn't
didn't
know.
didn't come together on that one.
Next comment says, and on the sixth year, God said, "Let this dum dum have light." Glad you figured it out, OP. And the last string of comments says, "Told this story to my parents because that's something they would do." In pure dad fashion, my dad goes, "Think of all the electricity they save." Somebody replies and says, "You did end up replacing it, right?" Because no way I would have admitted to my wife that we had just had it on dim for 6 years. Somebody replies to that comment and says, "Is OP sure he even had a wife? How could he tell it was a woman and not like a mop or something if the room was so dim?"
Dim. Oh,
Make sure you're checking your fan remotes for dimmable switches.
check all the switches. Check all of it.
Yes. Moving on to the next story.
Ooh,
It is posted 4 years ago to r slash am I the asshole. I have a light trigger warning on this one just because there are talks of racism in it. It is titled, "Am I the asshole for punishing my son after he said something racist?" About a week ago, my 39-year-old female family ordered Chinese food for delivery. When the delivery driver came to the door, my daughter, 16-year-old female, was taking the cat upstairs to put in her room because he always tries to eat the food. My son, 13 male, loudly says, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy," as I am at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver. He very obviously heard what my son said and was upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. I told my son that racist jokes were completely unacceptable and very wrong, and he refused to admit that he was in the wrong. So later that night, I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver, as well as write a one-page paper on Chinese culture and a one-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes. Then the next day, I took him to the restaurant and had him read his apology aloud to the delivery driver, as well as give him the papers he wrote. The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was a delivery driver. That night, my husband, 43 male, and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was embarrassing for our son to have to do the apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. My husband told me that it was just a joke and it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful. Am I the asshole?
that one gets me. And I just feel like your husband isn't like
Why is your
supportive.
husband
Yeah,
not
like
on
why
your
is he?
back?
I mean, because like I feel like that's just like an obvious case where you would be like, you know, obviously, like no, that's not okay. And like I feel like that totally fit. I think that was a great punishment for him, to like have to go back and actually look at these people and be like, it's not just a dumb joke. Like it's not a dumb joke, and for people who, you know, are the minority and feel, yeah, like
Definitely. I don't find this person to be the asshole. Your
at
son
all.
will get over his embarrassment. He will be fine. But at the same time, because he was so embarrassed by it, or because your husband thinks he was so embarrassed by it, he might actually learn something and not say things like that anymore.
Well, that, and I mean, he could maybe find something entirely new out about a culture that he didn't know anything about, that he was making jokes about, like, like you could spark something within your child to learn something new and uh God, words are not happening for me tonight. I tell you what. Uh but I just don't see how that was hurtful at all, and I don't see how that was such a fun line. Like, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Like, what do you mean? How does it not?
Right. How is being equally as embarrassed as the delivery driver
Like, she's not
not?
like, I'm gonna cut my son up and feed him to you know what I'm saying? Like that would be a little out of pocket.
Exactly. I definitely agree. Reddit did deem them not the asshole. I have some comments for you again. First one says, not the asshole. Sounds like your husband could use the lesson too. Somebody replied to that and said, my first thought after hearing the dad's reaction, guess why the son thinks it's okay.
Hmm.
Opinion, not the asshole. Dad, quite possibly the asshole.
Yeah.
Somebody replies to that and said, OP clarified in another comment that her husband hasn't made racist jokes before, but him saying just a joke is part of the reason why that behavior persists and continues to get excused, which it shouldn't be. It's part of the problem.
Hmm.
The next one says, not the asshole. Your son at the very least embarrassed the delivery driver in front of your family.
Yeah.
This punishment fit the crime. Your husband should have backed you up. The punishment really could not have fit the crime better than it did. It absolutely the right way to handle that, not the asshole. Exactly. The rare punishment that's proportional, serious, meaningful, teaches a real lesson, and only directly related to the transgression. Can we take one of the sarcastic wow parent of the year trophies and earnestly give it to OP? The last one says, not the asshole. Son may have been embarrassed, but
Hmm.
he should have been embarrassed for having said a racist joke. That kind of joke meant to be meant to embarrass and humiliate the target, the delivery guy. You did right by your son by turning that around and showing him his attitudes and jokes are the real embarrassment. Soon he will be too old to teach. Not to be racist, you are a great parent, and I hope your son takes the lesson to heart.
Hmm.
Last comment says, yep, the delivery driver is the only wrong party here, not the son. Like you said, he should have felt embarrassment by what he said. The dad minimizing it as just a joke is meaningless. And it's one of those things that people do to excuse stuff like that. It's not okay and good on OP.
Hmm. That's spot on. Couldn't have said it better.
Yes. All right. Moving on to the next one. This one is a little bit more on the wholesome side. It was posted about a year ago to r/advice. And I'm not going to lie to you, this one kind of made me tear up. The title is I want to start calling my adoptive mom Mom instead of her name. My bio parents put me, 15 male, up for adoption when I was born, so I was always in foster homes until I was 12. I had a teacher, Janice, 33 female, who was my homeroom teacher. Janice found out about me being a foster kid and how I wished I had a family. Janice had also been a foster kid growing up, and so, long story short, she then became my foster mom and adopted me. Janice is the best mom I could have ever asked for. She has been so unbelievably kind and loving to me, and I absolutely adore her. The problem is that I don't call her mom, I just call her Janice. I want to start calling her mom, but have no idea how to do it without making it awkward. Please help me, internet strangers. There is an update to it, but yeah, there is an update.
Okay.
It says, so, was not expecting this big of a response. Thank you all for responding, and some of the ideas me really tear up. Anyway, this morning I went to Janice and I said, "Good morning, Mom." She just looked at me and started crying. Then came over and hugged me and kissed my forehead. I hugged her back and she said I could call her whatever made me feel comfortable and that she loves me more than anything. I just replied with, "I love you, Mom." So yeah, hope this update makes someone's day because
Oh,
it certainly made mine. Have a great day.
so sweet.
I
Oh, oh.
do have comments. So this first one is from the original post. It says, "Ask her for something, and when you get it, say thanks, Mom." Um, OP responded and said, "I think she would cry tears of joy." And then somebody responded to that and said, "This. My mother got so emotional when my husband stopped calling her by her name and or referring to her as mother-in-law and just started calling her mom. She beams every time he says it. Not so much when I
Ah.
call her mom." The next comment says, the next comment to the original post says, "My wife had two kids with two different dads, which I won't lie was a bit of a red flag for me at first. Her oldest still saw her dad regularly, but the little guy who was 2 when I met them had never met his dad. When we first got together, he could not say my name to save his little life, Brendan. So he just called me Guy. It was pretty funny. When I would come home from a work trip and hear Guy at the airport, then see a little speeding bullet coming towards me. But eventually he caught on to my boys calling me Dad, and one day when he was around 4, just blurted out, 'Hi, Daddy,' when I came upstairs. My emotions weren't ready for that first thing in the morning, and naturally my eyes started sweating.
Oh.
See, the thing is, not long after he started calling me Dad, we found out that his bio father committed suicide. We
Oh.
finally told him the truth about his dad last year. He's 8 now, and the poor guy was heartbroken that I wasn't his real dad. My wife, being the beautiful soul that she is, explained how I was his real dad, and his father just helped her bring him into the world to meet me. Cue more eye sweat.
Oh. That's so, yeah. Yeah. That's such a tough situation like that, especially for a child to understand, like
It
8 years
is.
old.
It's so hard, but I'm sure it was very touching for him to
Well, and
hear her
I
call
think
him
it's
dad.
beautiful that that she came in there like that and, you know, just really basically gave him the, like this is your father. Like this is what a
The
dad does.
reassurance that is your dad.
And this is your dad because a dad is somebody who's here. A dad is somebody who takes care of you and loves you. And that's a sweet situation. That's a nice
It
one.
is. I have a couple of comments to the update. The first one I said, the first one says, "I know of someone who did the transition by letting her adoptive mom hear her refer to her as mom when talking about her. Like she'd be on the phone with friends and she'd say to the friend, 'That sounds great. Let me ask my mom if I can go.' When she looked up and saw tears in her eyes, she said to her friend, 'Let me call you back.' Then she turned back to her mom and said, 'Mom.' At which point her mom grabbed her and burst into tears. She's been mom ever since."
Oh.
Somebody replies to that and says, "Excuse me, those aren't tears. I have a whole ass redwood tree in my eye." Last
Oh.
comments say, "I promise I'm not crying. Someone must be cutting onions or something. I'm crying in my cube at work. Why did you do this to me? Why did this make me cry? Oh my god."
Aw.
Moving into the next story. This one was originally posted to r/relationship advice. Then it was posted to r/am I the devil, but the mods removed it. Luckily, though, somebody posted it in the comments so that we can still read it.
Oh, yay. Can't get away from me. Oh, that's okay. Technical difficulties. We're back.
This one is quite lengthy, so just kind of bear with me. It is titled Struggling to Stay Faithful and Remain Attracted to My 34 Male Wife, 28 Female, after we experienced a violent attack together. Not sure what to do. Says, I can't talk to anyone about this for obvious reasons. I've even tried speaking to a therapist, and they made me feel so low I haven't been back since. I'm just going to start off to say that you probably should pretty
You're like,
well.
you're a piece of shit. So let's preface.
My wife and I have been together for 6 years, married for 3. We currently have a bundle of joy on the way, and she's about 5 months along. My wife was always on the fence about kids, but I was adamant about wanting them. And now that it's becoming so real, I'm not sure anymore. I feel like I've just been on autopilot, and after spending this whole week buying baby stuff, I need to figure it out. Last year, my wife and I were at the park relaxing like we do almost every weekend, and someone yelled at us for speaking in my native language, Korean. My wife is trying to learn too because she's not Korean or Asian at all, but wants to speak only Korean at home to make sure our family is fully bilingual and they don't lose their culture. We were practicing out loud and sharing a snack, and this guy just walks up to us out of nowhere with wild, racist bullshit. He kicked our food, and there was some arguing, and while I was calling the police with my back turned, he tried to hit me with a pretty large rock. My wife jumped in between and ended up taking the full force of the hit, which literally busted her forehead open and knocked her out cold for almost a minute. I rushed my wife to the hospital and the guy ran off and was eventually caught by police a few weeks later. My wife needed 14 stitches right across her face and had 2 black eyes and blood in them. Her face was swollen beyond recognition for a few days, and when she fell, messed up an old knee injury. So when she got out of the hospital the next day, half her face was covered in bandages and she was limping. But she was still cracking jokes in the ER. After the bandages and stitches came out, she was told she would need to wait at least a year before having her scar surgically fixed or whatever treatments. But now that the year has almost passed, I've tried hinting at her to schedule appointments and such. This entire time, I've been struggling with remaining attracted to her, despite it but didn't tell her, since I didn't want to be cruel. She's now saying she doesn't think she wants to get anything done because she wants to save the money for the baby. I've offered to pay for half of it, and she still hasn't really looked into having it done. I've also pushed back her meeting my parents again because of this. They live outside of the country, hence why they haven't met yet, and bringing her around all my friends since it happened. Another part of me is also just sort of mad she even did it. I feel like half of a man now, and I've had to delete myself off of dating apps before making a mistake and been channeling it all at the gym. But every time I look at her, I'm reminded of all of those awful feelings. She hasn't changed a bit besides the scar. She's obviously handled it way better than I did, and somehow it's making me love her less. This, plus the pregnancy, I don't even know what to do. I thought about asking for a hall pass, but I know without a doubt she will leave me. I thought about taking care of my needs on the side so I can be the man she needs me to be, but I know she will eventually find out and she will hate me and make my life hell, or leave me a single father and I will never hear from her again. I just wish it had never happened, but I really need some other perspective or opinion on
I'm fucking wildin'. You mean to
this.
tell me she took the brunt? she had a child after like he begged her to have this fucking child. She took the brunt of a fucking hit. And he's like, "Oh, that scar."
The
What?
scar is really not doing it for me. What the fuck?
Like fix it or fuck you, you know?
For real, like you mean to tell
Oh,
me
and
that
that's so
you
mean.
turned your cowardly ass back on your wife and left her alone, and when you did that, she saw you do that, stepped in for you so your dumbass wouldn't take that hit, and now you're thinking about cheating on her?
Oh god,
You
dude.
have to delete yourselves off of
Fucking me
dating
too.
apps? What?
Has been, yeah, no, actively on dating apps, like is talking to other people but isn't like following through. Delete it. That stresses me out so much though, because and that's even sadder. He's like hiding her. He's hiding her from his parents and
Right,
like
he
his
won't.
friends. But she's at home. She's at home just thinking like, "Oh, he loves me. We're about to have a baby. He wanted a baby so bad. Look at us." And I even took this hit for him cuz I fucking love him. And I bet he loves me forever. We're going to love each other. Fucking bullshit.
Dude, I just the audacity, the sheer audacity.
Audacity.
Story is another r slash Tiffy post. Today I fucked up, and it is from 7 years ago, so it is a wee bit vintage. And before we go
Okay.
into it, I want to point out that the first time I heard this story was on the Two Hot Takes podcast.
Uh,
With that being said, it was too good not to share, and if I had to hear it, so do you.
okay. Okay, I'll take it.
I am talking about the coconut story. So, another trigger warning here, not safe for work. Talks of masturbation. So, if you're not down to clown or if you've heard it before, go ahead and skip this part. Let's go. It says, today I fucked up by coming into a coconut.
What?
Anyway, around 8 years back, I lived in northern Mombazwe, a coastal South African country with quite a warm climate. My mother at the time was going through a health nut phase and only buying foods she deemed healthy enough. One of these was coconuts.
Okay.
She would buy several coconuts a week to use in food from the local market. Anyway, being a horny teenager, I fapped in regular intervals. Unfortunately, there was some severely stressful examinations coming up for me, and as such, my fapping reached a higher peak than usual, and I was feeling pretty sexually frustrated.
Okay.
One day, I hear that my mother is going to be out for pretty much the entire afternoon. Horny me decides that it would be a fantastic idea to fuck a coconut. Honestly, to this day, I can't fathom why I thought that would be a good idea, but my train of thought back then was clearly somewhat
Uh, uh,
clogged.
you know.
I end up grabbing the coconut drill, and through 20 ish minutes of concerted effort, end up creating a hole large enough for me to stick my porker into. I decide to require some lube and grab the nearest slippery thing, some butter, before shoving it into the coconut, followed shortly by my meat. I fuck the coconut and it actually feels pretty damn good, so I blow my load, shove the coconut under my bed, and continue about my day. For the next week, the coconut is my savior. When I want to get off, I simply take it out and fuck it in its delightfully tight hole, made better each time by accumulating volumes of my semen and butter acting
Oh.
as a lubricant. It's heaven. Now, before I continue, I'd best mention that at the time our area was experiencing quite humid, muggy weather, which exasperated an already existing fly problem. Disgustingly fat, bloated flies were commonly found around our house, and the exterminators couldn't really do anything because it was a localized area problem that would go away in the winter.
Oh God.
About a week and a bit after the initial coconut fuck, I had been using it pretty much every day since then. I began to notice a few more flies than usual, as well as an odd, unpleasant smell about my room. Must be the coconut, right? So I decide that I'll fuck it once more before I throw it out and get a new one. And it's bold right here. It says, worst mistake I ever made. You see, the reason for the increased number of flies was that the coconut was evidently, in hindsight, a perfect place to lay eggs. As I penetrate the coconut one last time, I begin to feel a strange wriggling sensation. Puzzled, I pull my dick out to discover that it is covered in rotted and moldy butter and semen and teeming with tiny fucking maggots.
Oh, oh, oh God.
They were wriggling all over my dickhead, and some were even trying to force their way up into my urethra. I screamed and threw my coconut against the wall, which made the situation worse by spilling the contents.
Oh God.
Hours of vigorous dick scrubbing, vomiting, and cleaning. The remnants were spent reflecting on what the fuck I was doing with my life. Never again. Never again.
I what I wouldn't think to start with, but secondly, a week, a fucking week. You had a week's worth of fucking a coconut, and you said the same coconut every time.
He said, "Let me stick my dick back in there."
Every time. Okay, you like fucking coconuts. You know, like, okay, different coconut.
Get a new one, bestie.
I was shitting myself when he said a week. He said, I've been using it every day for a week. What? A different coconut.
Stuffing it under his bed in his tropical climate house.
Oh, the maggots.
Just terrible. Please make sure you go get checked out.
Oh.
I'm sure you did, but please, God, don't stick your extremities in
well, in my
fruits.
mind is just blown at the comfortability of posting that on the internet. I would die with that secret. I would have never told anyone.
To the grave with that one.
Me and the
sure.
doctor that I went to be like, hey, I just need to make sure maggots aren't in my penis, you know? Like, those are me and him.
Me and him
That's what the fuck?
Sworn to secrecy.
The okay, the internet. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the Reddit truly is just like the sewers. And I love it here. I do have some more comments for you. This one quotes OP and says, "My mother is going to be out for the entire afternoon. Horny me decides it would be the perfect time to fuck a coconut. They say, boy, I tell you, if I had $1 for every time that I had the same thought." What do you mean you had the same thought?
I feel like this is why the American Pie. Like, this is why I feel like
oh my God,
guys cannot think about not fucking food now.
Saw a big homie stick his porker in a fucking apple pie, and they were like,
they're like pies, coconut,
down.
Whatever. If it looks like I could put a hole in it.
Next comment says, I get that your horny brain made you think that fucking a coconut was a good idea. That's not even what surprises me. But your brain is supposed to return to normal after you blow your load. So why did your normal brain tell you it's fine to leave and open a coconut in a warm room with semen and butter in it? And most importantly, how were you not disgusted at the idea of fapping by using your several days old semen as lubricant?
That's the fucking thing. That's the thing. You blow. No, no, because if I did that with a coconut, immediately shame is what I would feel. And I would take that coconut and I would go throw it away. That would be a shame coconut
Never
now.
see that coconut again.
Like, ever. Let
I
alone using the
sure as
same coconut.
mm,
Okay.
sure as shit would not be posting about it on the internet either.
It's my piece on the coconut.
Third comment says, I think my favorite part of the story is the 20 minutes you spent drilling the hole in the coconut. That really shows some serious commitment to your goals. 20 minutes prepping a coconut for fornication, and at no point do you stop to second guess yourself. Way to stand by your decision. Somebody replies to that and says, I mean, a lot of time foreplay with a lady friend can be 20 minutes of active activity to get things slippery and ready for action. Just so happens that this dude's foreplay was with a power drill, butter, and a coconut.
Oh, it's like a book title. The Power Trill Butter and Coconut.
Last comment points out throwaway because my family knows my username. Anyway, I was living in this very specific part of the world at very specific time with my family. If you read the Today I Fucked Up, you'd have realized OP is the kind of person who would make that mistake. Just keep don't use fruit as your masturbation tools, and if you're going to throw them away,
Yeah, who am I to tell you what to use? But I mean, let's think about sanitary.
use your brain.
Let's keep it clean.
All right, moving right along to something not so disgusting.
Good. Okay.
This next story is from r slash
Oh, hold
Freddie.
on. Okay.
This next story is from r slash Petty Revenge, and it is 6 years old. And by the way, Petty Revenge, I love you. Please don't ever change.
It's my favorite Reddit.
This one says, take my parking spot. What goes around comes around. This may have been the pettiest thing I've ever done. So, in my city, there is a pub that's attached to a donut shop that serves the best donuts in the city, which always causes a long line. Because it's attached to a pub, it doesn't close shop until 9 p.m., as there is a solid flow of business rolling in. Anyway, my girlfriend and I get a serious hankering for some snacks, so we decide to head to the donut shop and arrive around 8:30 by car. Now, there are only 3 parallel parking spots, a little up the street from the place, and they are all 15-minute spots, which are usually full. We see up the street that, count our lucky stars, a spot is free. My girlfriend pulls a little ahead of the car in front of that spot, turns on her indicator, and begins backing into the spot when this little white Vespa driving behind us whips into the spot. I roll down our window and call out to the driver, "Excuse me, we were just backing in." The driver seems to be a pretty university student who shrugs her shoulders and calls out to me, "Sorry, first come, first serve," while her and her friend just share a good laugh. My girlfriend suggests we just get donuts another time, and I tell her she can drop me off here. I'll buy the donuts since I know what she likes, and she can loop around. She agrees, and I pop out of the car, past the little white Vespa where the girls are still gathering their things, and head to the shop. As always, the line is super long for donuts, and since this is the last batch, the donuts are slim pickings. The girls are behind me, looking at the 5 or so donut different flavors that are left, talking about which ones are best and which they haven't had yet. I hear one of them jokingly mention, "Thank God we got a parking spot," and they burst out laughing. I get to the front of the line, and when asked for my order, request 2 dozen donuts, which is every last one remaining. The girls behind me didn't listen to what I ordered, but eyebrows of confusion started to form on their faces and they slowly saw each donut loaded into the boxes and their options dwindle. One of them, the driver, in desperation, asked the baker who was loading them in, "What? You're not going to save a few for us, though?" To which I turned around and said, "Sorry, first come, first
Got him.
serve." She honestly looked like she'd just simultaneously solved a movie mystery and shit her pants. It's difficult to put into words, but truly an expression I can never forget. Best donuts I ever tasted, and enjoyed by the rest of my office the next
That's beautiful. That honestly, it started out. It reminded me of Fried Green Tomatoes. Have you ever seen that movie?
morning. No, I actually haven't seen fried green tomatoes.
Ah, you're missing a classic. There's a part in there where like one of the lead characters, she's like going through a midlife crisis at this point, and these girls go, they're like at the supermarket, whatever, and she waited for the car to leave, like moved out of that person's way so they could get out of the spot, and she was gonna get in there, and some like way young girls like swoop in the spot and they like take it real quick, and she tells us, she's like, oh, I was gonna get that spot, girls, and she was like, you're too old and whatever, like it was like a really lame like early 90s 2000s
Right.
fucking comeback that they
Very.
did, but she like loses her mind and fucking they're like walking into the store, and she's crashes into the back of their fucking car and like pushes it all the way like through the spot, just loses her fucking mind. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. This didn't end that way. It
Oh, but it
ended in
should have. He should have pushed that fucking Vespa over. I would have.
oh dude, especially a little white Vespa, come on.
Oh, please.
How much do you how much force is it really gonna take to
Right.
get
The
a
wind could blow too hard and knock it
and get a
over.
Vespa? You should have went harder. That's what we learned today. But
That is what we learned. Okay, I do have some comments for you. The first one says, "Sorry, first come, first serve. Damn, what a perfect way of bringing the cycle to a close. The rule giveth and the rule taketh away. I hate parking spot snatchers. For whatever reason, they always seem to be the people that take the longest to actually get ready and out of their car. Why are they in such a rush for the prime spot if they're only going to sit there and waste time?" Question. Somebody responds to that and says, following it up with "Thank God I got a donut" would also have been a good one to shout as you exited the shop.
oh, for real. Just doubled out on like getting them back. Like first come, first serve. Thank God I got a donut.
For real. Next comment says, "This reminds me of my petty parking spot story. I was waiting to pull into a spot with my signal on in front of a Chinese restaurant. I gave the guy room to back his car out, and then someone came from the other direction and took the spot from me. The guy got out and went into the restaurant and left his car running with the window down. I guess he was getting a pickup order. I found another parking spot, and then on my way into the restaurant, I took the guy's keys from his car and just threw them across the parking lot."
Just make him, do some work. We're gonna confuse him. We're gonna
Okay.
make him do a little I
Where'd your
spy.
keys go, buddy?
Oh, I wish I had my keys.
Third comment says, "Halfway through, I thought you should knock over the Vespa. But at the end, that's the best way to go. Got back at her without doing any immoral or criminal and probably taught her a bit too."
hmm
Last one says, "Please tell me you returned to your girlfriend's car with the biggest shit eating grin of all time and you both cackled all the way home to have donut fueled victory sex." Somebody responds to that and says, "Thank you for blessing my eyes with this comment. I hope I get to live this one
Yeah, just have it. Just be the. I mean, what a beautiful story of karma. You know,
day." Yes,
what a
just exactly what you
instant
deserve.
no
Beautiful.
donut.
No donut for you. All right, moving right along into our next story. It is posted to r/am I the asshole, and it is 4 years old.
Okay.
No. Scroll through. Let me see here.
Oh, this was those ones that this would have been the, imagine being that badly repulsed by your partner because they got a scar defending you. That would have been
Yeah.
the ones
Okay,
from the,
keep scrolling.
so that's okay. Yeah.
Yep,
NTA.
that's it.
Okay.
All right. It is posted to Am I the Asshole? 4 years old. All right. It is titled, Would I Be the Asshole for Refusing to Stop Cooking Bacon in My Kitchen Due to My Teenage Daughter's Vegan Lifestyle? And it goes, Dad here, old fart, loves his daughter to pieces, but I'm struggling to see eye to eye with my teenager and wife on this one. We've always been a meat eating family. We live in the rural Midwest, and bacon for breakfast is pretty much a given. This year, my 14-year-old daughter decided to go vegan, and I jumped onto her support team with enthusiasm. We learned how to substitute ingredients, cook new things, try new things, and I adjusted our budget to include more expensive vegan substitutes for her. None of this has been a problem for me until recently. She saw me cook bacon in a pan, and then I rinsed it out to load in the dishwasher. She exploded in anger. Teen years. I'm not too fussed about the anger explosion. I know she doesn't mean it. She said that was her pan for vegan food. I was completely floored and said, Kiddo, this here is a family pan. Older than you. It's not your pan. She asked me to purchase her a pan that she can solely use for vegan food. I didn't want her to feel weird about food, so I said sure, and ordered her a few colored ones that are only for her. The reason they're colored is so that it helps me remember that I'm not to touch them unless I'm cooking vegan. That wasn't good enough. Now, apparently, the dishwasher is contaminated with animal product, and the fridge has bacon grease fingers on it because I eat bacon and then touch the fridge. And she's asked me and her mom to completely stop eating meat at home. I don't mean I literally touch the fridge with greasy bacon hands because I wash my hands, but it's clearly enough that it upsets my daughter. Frankly, I'm on team hell no. Her mom is much more amendable and strongly wants me to consider taking our daughter up on the request. My wife's reasoning is that both our parents live close so we can eat meat products there, and that she doesn't want our daughter to feel uncomfortable in the kitchen. My daughter says she is fine with cheese and butter in the fridge, but it's specifically meat products that make her feel sick. Now I'm sorry for her, but I feel like she just needs to adapt and live side by side because I'm not going to stop eating bacon in my own house.
I feel like a little bit like maybe your daughter's hungry and she's struggling not to eat meat. And so it's easier to try and get the family to like convince the entire family to not eat meat and be like she is and not have that, like around than, to have it there. But also I feel like they've because I just every request that the daughter made, they immediately like jumped on it, and like they adapted, they learned new recipes, they did all kinds of things just to, I mean, and that's more than some parents ever do. I have friends that they are entirely like vegetarian and whatnot, and their families make zero of those options whenever they're around. And I mean, of course, we're like older. This 14-year-old girl, like she's gonna have to eat at home, but like there's some parents that don't care that much to even try to learn recipes to cook vegan. So I feel like they are very uh just jump when she says to jump, and that, yeah, well, and it feels like the mom is even more into jumping at whatever the daughter said. I feel like you
Right,
need to
like the
take a
mom
stand
is
somewhere.
very willing to just kind of bend to what her daughter has asked of her. And that is so cool, but to an extent, you have to be able to say that you are the parent. And while I do agree with you that, your kid is hungry, do what you can to make sure that they can eat. I also think um, it makes you wonder, like, is she an only child? Are there other siblings in the house? Would it be like too much of an obstacle for the parents to just not eat meat at home? Like the wife said, their parents are not that far from her. So, um I guess yeah, I just really wonder, like, if there are other kids in the house that would make it too much of an obstacle for the dad to
Well,
just
I
change and
think just
diet
for
like
him
that.
as a person. I mean, and I feel that way. I don't feel like, I mean, and I get it, I guess, in a way. Like, I mean, I get the, like, if your kid won't eat, but at the end of the day, like, you're doing everything. You even got, like, her own pans. So there's not, like, a cross contamination there.
Right.
And first of all, saying, like, there's cross contamination in the washing
In the
machine, like,
dishwasher is
that's
insane.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There's not bacon fingers on the fridge isn't going to kill you either. So, like,
Right, and I mean,
I just feel like at the end of the day, that's kind of ridiculous to that when that's not your family's preference. And like at the end of the day, like you're going to go your whole life and you're going to be in kitchens that have meat and have different things. And like, is like not everybody can just bend to what you want when you want. And I feel like at the end of the day, when they're doing absolutely everything they can as parents to get substitutes, cook what she wants, and do it entirely in separate pans. I feel like that. I don't
they're
know.
already doing so much for her. She's being a little entitled, I feel
That's kind
like.
of what I feel. And well, and then now I have to go. I have to go to my parents' house or my wife's parents' house to go eat meat. Like if I want to,
Right, and
you
I mean,
know.
any excuse to hang out with your parents, I guess. But if you want to eat bacon in your own house, like in your underwear, then do that.
Well, and how many times are you gonna go over there though and eat? Are you going to eat
Right.
every dinner at their house so that you can have meat? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or every breakfast at mom and dad's just so that you can get your bacon?
It's very true. I don't think you'd be the asshole. We have some comments. First one says, not the asshole, obviously. You've been supportive of her new diet choices and have been very accommodating by getting her pans to use for vegan food. She can't expect you to change your whole lifestyle to cater to her. Meat needs to be kept in the fridge, and if the dishwasher is tainted, then maybe she should try washing a dish by hand. Gasp.
Yeah, tea.
Next one says, not the asshole, and I say that as a vegan. Cross contamination is bullshit that militant vegans make up to make themselves feel superior to other vegans. She has to understand that there's going to be meat around. I get that it upsets her, really, but unless she only lives with vegans for the rest of her life, this is something she's going to have to get used to. A compromise might be to keep the meat in a drawer in the fridge rather than getting rid of it altogether. She's young and a new vegan, so the good news is that she will probably grow out of, ease up on it. When you first go vegan, you're so excited and you feel so enlightened, like no one has ever figured this out before you. Then you get a little jaded and relaxed a little bit. Try to tough it out and keep talking to her. But no, you do not need to stop storing meat in your house just for her. And it says, edit, I am very clearly not talking about cross contamination when it comes
To
to food
food
allergies.
allergies. Yeah.
Next one says, not the asshole. Get her a special sponge she can use to wash her own dishes so she didn't have to use the terminate. So she doesn't have to use the tainted dishwasher. I was Somebody responds to that and says, I was going to suggest something along those lines too. And not the asshole, obviously. See how serious she is about it when she's getting her own set of plates and dish soap and sponge to keep her
Yeah, kind of that same point of like, if you think it's so horrible, then like, yeah, take care of yourself. Uh yeah, no reason.
I have one last comment that says, as a teen who's trying to go vegetarian, your daughter is acting ridiculous. The dishwashing machine's tainted? What kind of bull is that? And she shouldn't be forcing you guys to go vegan in your own house if you don't want to. You've been very supportive as it is buying separate pans. You would not be the asshole here. Edit, and if she really wants to change your diet, she should try and give you info on how bad the meat and dairy industry is and how unhealthy large amounts of meat are for the modern human. Yada, yada, yada. Then you guys can make your own choices on what you want to eat. Which is a very good point. If she really does want you guys to stop, maybe she should explain it to you.
That is true cuz I mean, yeah, a lot of us don't know a lot about that, but then I don't know. I feel like that's also I,
I'm not about to stop
uh,
eating meat in my own house. That's
I tell you what,
just
that ain't me. I ain't doing it.
not the one, bestie.
Uh-uh.
Moving along. This next one is from r/relationship advice, and it is 4 years old.
Ooh, party.
It is titled, "My girlfriend told me she was with a friend, but that friend was with me picking out an engagement ring. How do I confront my girlfriend about her lie?"
Straight the fuck up. What you mean?
Story goes, "God, this is a doozy. I swear my life feels like a movie right now. Sorry for the weird formatting. I'm on mobile, and this is my first time posting on a sub like this. It's alright,
Mood.
bestie." I, 28 male, am planning on proposing to my girlfriend of 3 years, 26 female. Now, I suck at picking out jewelry. I'm the type of guy that doesn't see a problem with heart shaped jewelry. Seriously, why is it considered so ugly? So every time I want to buy something for my girl, I usually consult one of our mutual friends. My girl's best friends are all my friends as well, and we get along well. So asking them for help picking out jewelry is something I'm used to. When it came time to pick out a ring, I consulted my girlfriend's best friend Justine. Fake name. Justine and I are quite close, and she knows my girlfriend better than anyone, including me. So when my girlfriend went out to visit with her sister and baby nephew, I invited Justine over to the house to help pick out a ring. Justine and I looked through a few catalogs and decided it was a dead end and would be better to go to professionals at a jewelry store. However, I didn't know when my girlfriend would be coming home, so Justine and I thought of a clever text to gauge how much time we had. I asked her when she'd be coming home, as I was ordering takeout and wanted to know when to tell them to have the food ready by. She responded by saying it would be a few hours. She met up with Justine to go shopping. Now,
Ooh.
obviously, this took me by surprise, since Justine was standing inside my house. I showed Justine the text, and she looked just as confused as I was. It isn't out of the ordinary for my girlfriend to meet up with people out of the blue like that for shopping, lunch, etc. She's a very spontaneous person and loves making plans on the fly. So ordinarily, I would have believed this text in a heartbeat. However, obviously, this had to be a lie. When she came home, she acted completely normal, and I played along, but it's been really hard to act like everything's fine. We got takeout, ate together, and cuddled on the couch after. So far, she's caught on a little that something's upsetting me, but I can't tell her what. Looking at her kills me. I don't know what to do. My girlfriend and I have zero trust issues, and we tell each other everything. So this lie is killing me. I want to ask her about it so bad, but if I tell her I knew she was lying, I'd have to explain why, and I really don't want to do that. What do I do? I know she lied to me, but I don't know how to confront her about it. Should I just forget it? This won't stop gnawing at me. Please help. Thoughts?
fucking banana. I think she's been lying to you. I think you better reevaluate. You guys tell each other everything because that don't seem right to me, Buster.
Yeah, something definitely sounds fishy.
Dude, but I guarantee you up and down, left, right, and sideways, her best friend told her, like, hey, I was here looking at, rings with him. Like,
Right.
I can guarantee you and guarantee you. So he's like, she's caught on a little bit that there's something wrong with me. Like, I bet she already fucking knows. I bet she knows that he knows. So I bet she's already concocting a lie.
Right.
It's four
And
years ago. I mean, I don't, it's probably way past done now, but
yeah, I don't know. It smells fishy. I mean, looks like a zebra, has stripes like a zebra.
it's
Probably a zebra.
fucking zebra.
I have some comments from the original post because there is an update.
Oh,
The first one says, "See, I would have texted a selfie of you and Justine back to her. How do you know she wasn't with your best friend picking out a ring for you?"
but
Somebody
why
was
would she? That's my like. Why would she? Because if he, like, he would be the one to propose to her. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy, but okay, keep going. Sorry.
no, you're all right. Somebody responds to that and says, "Yeah, if my husband did something like this, I would have called him out pronto, not just stewed on it. Communicate. Maybe the girlfriend saw that he and Justine were together on Find My Friends or whatever and was trying to see if he was hiding anything. Good lord, just talk to her, OP. This is relationships 101 stuff here, not about to get engaged shit.
For real.
Yeah, just talk to your partner. If something smells weird, something feels weird, don't just sit on that shit.
Don't stew. Yeah, never stew. Well, and at the end of the day, even if it's the worst case scenario, figure it out. Rip the fucking band aid off because you're not doing anything for yourself or for the people around you by stewing and stuffing things down and just not just figuring the shit out. Get the answers. Do the questions.
Exactly. Next comment says, "I know you say you can't tell her why you know, but I honestly think you should. You don't want this to bug you forever and propose to a girl that could potentially hiding something. Just say you were hanging out with Justine because you needed help with a gift, so you know she wasn't with her, and see what she says. Trust and communication is important, and it would suck to know you propose to a girl who could be doing you wrong, but also just as bad to sit there and let that lie eat you alive."
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna read you the update. Says, "Hey guys, oh my god, where to begin? My last post got way more attention than I could have ever imagined. Suffice to say, it was a tad bit overwhelming. The amount of people begging for an update was a bit dehumanizing in a way. Like it wasn't a person going through something, but more so a story. But I understand. Haha. Um,
I
they
like
go on
this
to the
OP. He's got personality.
He does. He goes on to the update and he says, "I decided to confront my girlfriend. I thought about using some of the lies people suggested, but they just wouldn't make sense. To say I ran into Justine somewhere. Well, I told my girl I had to stay home and do stuff around the house, and that's why I couldn't go with her to see my sister in law. To say Justine was helping me pick out jewelry. It doesn't make sense for her to come all the way to our house to help me pick out a piece of jewelry unless it's a serious piece of jewelry, like an engagement ring. If I just wanted to get her a piece of jewelry as a gift, I'd ask her friends for suggestions or ask them to send me pictures of jewelry she might like. It all happens over text. None of these excuses made sense. So I decided to be honest. I basically just said I knew that we'd been thinking about marriage and she probably knew a proposal was coming soon, so I invited Justine over to help me find her the perfect ring. And that so happened to be the day that she said she was going to see her. So, what's the deal?" She immediately started grinning like an idiot and prodding me about proposing in the ring. But then we got back onto the topic of where she was, and she confessed what she was really doing. No, she wasn't cheating, and no, she wasn't picking out a ring for me. Seriously, the amount of times that was commented was crazy. So, some people are dog people, and some people are cat people. Well, me, I'm a snake person. I grew up with snakes my whole life, but I never felt I was able to get one because my girlfriend has always been uneasy about living with a snake, which I completely respected. Also, the process of buying and raising a snake is very different than that of buying and raising a cat or dog. It's quite complicated. So you could imagine my surprise when my girlfriend showed me a picture of her holding the cutest Kenyan sand boa I've ever seen. Needless to say, my girlfriend was going to surprise me with a snake. We're picking her up next week. I definitely did not expect this, and I feel bad for ruining the surprise. But oh well. Life is good. Sorry if this isn't the ending you guys wanted or expected. Just a snake. Haha. Thanks for reading.
Aw. Well, that's way better. I still wouldn't trust her.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, it's real sweet, but don't lie to your partners. Please don't lie to your partners. It's a very bad idea.
Yeah, don't. Don't. But also just confusion. I
Very
am
much.
confusion
Very much confusion.
about what? Like it's just a snake. Like, I don't know.
You had to hide
Or
that.
did like Justine let her know, like, hey, he knows. So like
Right, because there are
you gotta
trade
find
secrets
something
between
quick,
best friends,
to like figure out what the fuck you were
Yeah.
doing. And she's like, oh, I was getting you a snake. And now she's like just biting the bullet to eat the snake because, I mean, not eat the snake. Sorry, I'm fucking losing my mind. She's biting the bullet and she's like, I'll live with the snake just to cover up the fact that she was cheating. Because like now he's never going to question. He's going to be like, oh, she just loves me.
Right.
And maybe there was more questions,
I do have some comments from the update. Lots of dad jokes in these comments. I saw so many of them. First one says, rattled over nothing.
That gets my soul.
Somebody replies to that and says, some people are going to have a hissy fit.
Hissy fit.
So, next comment says, I love how you both were trying to surprise each other, and both surprises were ruined in the best, sweetest way.
As long as they were surprises. No.
Right. Last comment says, it's like that story where a girl cut and sold her hair in order to buy nice watch straps for her boyfriend. In the meantime, he sold his watch to buy her a nice hair clip.
Oh, yeah. I remember that story.
Yeah, what is it called?
In like
The
elementary
Gift of the
school.
Magi is what it's called.
Ah,
Yes.
what a good one.
I'm so glad it ended out well.
Yeah, me over here not fucking trusting anybody. I'm like, I don't think it. I don't think it
believe
really.
you.
I think you're quick wits. That's what I think.
All right, we have two more. This next one is posted in r/today I fucked up, and it is 5 years old.
We're fucking up.
Those were the comments for it. Titled, Today I fucked up by destroying the entirety of my family for only $99.
That's a good deal. Where do you? Is that on Sam's
do
Club? I don't.
Says, throwaway account. We've all been seeing the recent craze of DNA testing and whatnot. So my dad and I decided to jump on the bandwagon, and we bought 2 from 23andMe.
This is gonna be bad.
We got our results back a few days ago, and I went into the DNA relatives section to check out my matches. At the top, it listed my dad as only sharing 29.2% DNA with me, and being predicted to be a half-brother, which is impossible. This didn't make sense to me, since we also shared a parental haplogroup and we just looked so alike. So he was definitely my father. My cousin had also taken the test a while back, and she shared 24.6% with me, also predicted to be my half sibling. We're supposed to share around 12% being first cousins, and they shared 24.6.
Ooh.
So 12 more.
Than what you're supposed to.
12 and some change, bestie.
That's a bit. It's a bit much.
Tis. Goes on to say, I couldn't think of a genetic relationship that would explain what I was seeing, and I had doubts in the accuracy of my percentages, so I made a post in r/23andme for asking for help. Basically, the shared percentages are extremely accurate and highly unlikely to be false. The only realistic explanation for what I was seeing was that my uncle, my cousin's father, and my dad's brother is my father. Reality hit me in the face like a flying bag of bricks. All the dots lined up, and I felt a sense of loss. I sat in my room for an hour just in shock. Then I had a feeling of anger come over me. I needed some fucking answers. Without even thinking, I rushed out of my room and confronted my mother downstairs. My mom is a businesswoman and is often away on business trips. She had no idea my dad and I had done one of these tests since she was away on a trip and had just got back. My mother and I never had a traditional relationship. She was always focused on her work, and my dad ended up mostly raising me. My irrational self didn't even sugarcoat it. I asked her if she cheated on dad with Uncle David. Name changed for obvious reasons. I have never seen the color drain for someone's face so quickly. She looked dumbfounded and then mumbled, "What kind of question is this? Of course not." I told her everything, the test, percentages, DNA matches, all of it. Shit hit the fan. My mom fell to the ground crying, begging me not to tell dad. I left her there and went back into my room. I called my cousin, now half sibling, and told her everything. She ended the call screaming. Dad, now uncle, then came home and stumbled into my room asking what was wrong with mom. I told him everything too. He didn't say anything after calming down. He just left the room and I locked the door. For the next few hours, I heard my entire family fall apart outside my door. My parents got into a heated argument and my grandparents rushed over to see what was going on. My aunt in law and David showed up shortly later, and I'm pretty sure I heard my dad and David get into some physical fight. Utter chaos. I feel like fucking shit. I know it's not my fault, but I can't feeling that this is all because of me. If I had spent my fucking birthday money on something else, none of this would have happened. But another part of me is glad to know the truth. I'm too scared to go outside. I don't even know what the outcome was. The only noise I hear in the house now is the occasional sobbing coming from my mother, and I'm pretty sure my dad is out of the house. Fuck my life.
Ah, that one's sad. That's a little tough.
That is very sad. I don't think you are the asshole at all. I think your mom and your Uncle David are the assholes.
Well, my only thing is not that you're the asshole, but like the way that OP immediately called like his cousin and told her everything. And it was like instead of giving his mom the chance to kind of own up to that to his father, which, and I mean, in a way, like she had however many years it was, to have
Right.
owned up to it. I mean, for, because I mean, at the end of the day, she might not have known for sure whether or not, it was the brother
Right.
or the dad. Um, so, I mean, that may have been a shell shock for her there too in that moment.
Right.
Um, But I mean, I think that could have been just a little bit more tact on that part as far as like giving her a chance to go own up to it and then giving him his dad the chance cuz I mean, the way that it did play out, everybody got involved. It was a big chaotic mess and it was like it could have gone a little bit different. I mean,
Right. The entire family did not need to get involved in this, even though it does affect just about everybody. Um, because the mom not only cheated, she cheated with his brother.
brother, yeah, which is like
Uh,
even fucking more what?
yeah, so that's going to cause a problem between them.
The brothers, yeah.
And because the brothers are fighting, of course the parents are going to be involved.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that and then it said that they like ran over.
Right. They just wanted to be there. They just wanted
Yeah,
to
they
know.
just heard what was going on. But I mean, also calling your cousin first, and then they immediately, obviously, are going to go confront their parents about it. So now there's like
Right.
a double layer of chaos, and now they're at your parents' house, and now they're fighting, and it just like things probably didn't have to go that level of extreme.
Right. It did not
Um,
have to be
but I think it
so.
did need to come out,
Yeah.
and I think it was a great job in you know holding on to that and standing on that and not making it me and mom's secret and burying it. um but I think a little bit like it could be that kind of that anger, you know and that kind of immediate action of like I'm gonna go do this because I'm upset that this is how many years I got taken from my dad, or the dad who raised me spent all that time here for me. I don't know. That's such a tough situation because it's like somebody who wasn't your dad raised you, and to me, whoever raised you and sat there and took the time with you, and loved you, like that's your dad.
Perfect. I am going to segue that right into the comments for the original post because, again, there is an update. The first comment says, the one thing that comes to my mind is that man may have been your father boy, but he wasn't your daddy, which is a quote from Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy, referring to Dave and your dad, now uncle. He raised you, but he's still your dad. Second comment says, you merely discovered your mother's fuck up. It could possibly be delivered more smoothly, but lies are bad foundations for any relationships, and whatever comes from this has a casual link with what your mother and your uncle father did, and you shouldn't blame yourself. In the end, you probably did your original question mark father a service by revealing the truth. Somebody responds to that and quotes what they said and says, "You merely discovered your mother's fuck up and his uncle slash dad's. The man was cucking his brother. It's not just on the mother."
Oh yeah, yeah. As a brother, how do you fucking do that?
For real.
Oh gosh, like in general, I mean, just like somebody who's in a relationship, like
Don't
why would
touch
you do
people that are
that?
in relationships.
Don't touch. It's not yours.
Not touchy touchy. Last comment says, your mom and uncle dad are horrible people. By lying to your dad uncle, they stole his opportunity to have biological children of his own. Paternity fraud is so evil. Somebody responds to that and says, I hate laughing at someone's misery, but uncle dad, please. Crazy things happen in people's life. Damn.
Oh,
Um, like I said, there is an update.
it said no.
Okay. It says update to today I fucked up by destroying my entirety family for $99. Says thanks for the support, guys. Means a lot. Back to where we were. I eventually left my room, called my dad, and he was actually at the hospital with my grandmother. She couldn't handle the situation and had a heart attack right when she went home. I knew my mother was still in the house, but I left her there again without saying a word and went to the hospital. I got to the hospital, saw my grandmother. She was in stable condition, and then sat down with my dad to talk. First thing we told each other was that the situation didn't change our relationship. He was still my father, and I was still his son. I got the confirmation of my dad and David getting into some altercation, but dad told me he fucked him up really hard. My mother had told my dad that she was drunk and David raped her. The only reason she had not told anyone was out of the fear of destroying my father's family. Dad then suggested going to the police. She refused and then started to slightly change her story, making my dad doubt her claim. That's when David and everyone else came over. David claimed my mother was trying to save her own ass and that they had consensual sex. So they gave two conflicting stories.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's lying.
We have a liar.
As of now, my dad and I have no idea who to believe. He says his relationships with my mother and David had always been good. He's not sure what to do. David's wife is filing for divorce since this occurred after they were married. My cousin is holding up all right, although she's still pretty shaken up. My dad and I have been staying with my grandparents for the past week until we figure out what to do. Any advice would help. Thank you. Sorry if this sounds rushed. I typed this on my way to class. When we go to read the comments, I'm only reading one of those. I'm probably just going to do the middle one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We do have a comment from
Comment.
the update. It says, "Hey man, thanks for the update. First off, I think you are awesome for supporting your dad. That's some fucked up shit you were dealing with. So it's good to have someone who is with you all the way. Both of you. I'm really sorry to hear about your grandmother, but it's good she is recovering. I am enraged by your mom. Unless she actually got raped, claiming to have been is really fucked up. And since she changed her story when your dad went in to report it, this feels like she is just trying to save her own ass, like your uncle says. Your dad will still need a lawyer for divorce. And as another person has pointed out, you should both think about seeing a therapist about this. They will be able to help you protect yourself from further harm. If I was in your place, I would also not speak to my mom and uncle for now. They seem only concerned about themselves and will likely try to manipulate you in some way. I wish you and your family, whoever you still want to be part of it, all the best going forward. Good luck."
Yeah, that's kind of one of those situations. I just hope, though, genuinely, it didn't create a wedge between the brothers, you know? As much as
Right.
it's like a fucked up situation, like, I don't know.
I mean,
Family is some of the, that's all you got, you know?
right, at the end of the day, that's still your brother. I know what he did to you, and I mean, that's, you've already established that it is still your child.
Yeah, you know?
So
Yeah. Well, and yeah,
I do
that's,
think with some serious therapy, they could probably work through it, but I know right from the jump, they're probably not
well, I
gonna.
mean, it's going to take time. It's going to take
Oh,
years because
yeah,
that's trust. But I mean, I
absolutely.
think that's beautiful that he still took, you know, the child and was like, you know, like we're still, and the child too, being like, you know, like you're still my dad. There's not like, and that, like I said, you know, like a dad is somebody who's there to love you and somebody who did the time loving you. So
Exactly. It's just kind of a shitty situation, but it's a really sweet ending.
yeah, a little bit, kind of
So
still bad, but it's good.
that sucks.
Yeah,
Especially with your birthday money. Poor kid. All
could have
right.
just been naive forever.
Exactly. Just gone about your day. But
Don't do 23 and me.
exactly.
Don't do an ancestry.
All right. Moving into our last story. This one is posted in Petty Revenge, and it is 6 years old.
Ooh.
It is titled, "Don't Want to Wait Your Turn? Now You Wait 10 Minutes." On mobile, forgive my text wall. This happened to me last night. I got in my car to pick up my girlfriend, and my tire pressure light came on. I have a 12-volt air compressor in my back seat, but it's loud and fills sort of slowly. So I opted to drive to the local Wawa. For those who don't have Wawa, it's like if 7-Eleven got sober and went to college. Wawa's air pumps are free to use, which usually means there are at least a few cars lined up. But when I pulled up, there was only one other car. Score! I pulled behind the guy filling his tires, and an older gentleman in a BMW pulled in behind me. After about 3 minutes, a woman in a brand new Lexus pulls up directly next to me and puts her window down. I only have to fill one tire. Do you mind if I go in front of you? She asked. I said, actually, I do. We've been waiting here for a little bit. Sorry. She muttered something, rolling her window up, and I put mine up. About a minute later, the guy at the pump was done. He backs up, and before I can even put my car in gear, Lexus woman pulls her car in front of mine diagonally, blocking me from pulling into the spot, and then pulls straight in after the first guy has moved. She climbs out of her car and gives me the most infuriating little wave. At this point, my anger gives way to a ninja-like calm. I know exactly what must be done. I pulled my car forward and stopped 6 inches from her rear bumper. The air pump is in the corner of the lot, so Lexus woman has a curb in front of her, a curb to her right where the pump is, an open spot to her left, and now my dirty ass car right behind her brand new one. She is busy filling her tire and doesn't notice that I've pulled up right next to her. I step out of my car, grab my air compressor from the back seat, and start setting it up to fill my tire. Mr. BMW, who has remained completely still and silent, sees what I'm doing and asks if I can fill his tires too. I say, of course, and motion for him to park in the empty spot on Lexus Lady's left.
Beautiful.
As soon as he pulls in, she notices what's happening and starts yelling. I flip on my air compressor and begin filling my tires. Her cries are drowned out by the sound of 250 psi of justice. She comes and stands in front of me, face beet red and little flecks of spittle popping out from between her cigarette teeth as she calls me all sorts of names. I calmly say, "Ma'am, I only have one tire to fill. You don't mind, do you?" Mr. BMW is absolutely loving this. And as I finish my tire and move to fill his, she starts up again. "You motherfuckers, fucking pieces of shit, assholes," etc. I finish Mr. BMW's tire and he thanks me for my help, climbs in his car, and pulls away grinning. I wrap my compressor up nicely, pick a good song, and set my climate control to a balmy 82 degrees. All while Lexus lady is trapped in front of me. I calmly back up, give her a little wave, and drive off into the night.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Such an amazing example of petty revenge.
Well, just don't be a fucking asshole.
Exactly.
Like she just didn't have to be a dickhead.
You are not entitled to the fucking air pump.
Yeah.
Wait
no.
your turn.
No, well, and yeah, why? Why did you need it first? What did you need it for?
Exactly, your one tire could have waited. Everybody else only had one
Tire, or well, and as far as you know, yeah, it's like everybody else had to wait for car in front. Like, why? Oh God, I was talking about it at work the other day with my coworkers, and we were like, some people just were not taught common fucking sense and like common decency. we made the jokes that like in elementary school we have the line leader and we have all that stuff for people not to fucking understand how lines
Right.
work or how orders work. And I was like, yeah, no, you should have carried it up through fucking high school. Had like 16-year-old line leaders like, I'm the caboose, you know.
Caboose. I do have some comments for you that were just too funny.
To pass. Oh hell yeah. Ooh, a little clock. We like some about blank. Yeah. We're getting there, guys. Just hang out. What slide are we on? Okay, we're here.
I do have some comments for you. The first one says, "This was so satisfying to read. My heart rate increased. Whew. I need a moment." Second one says, "She committed the two cardinal sins of city living. First, she cut a line. As I explained to my kids, there is a very there is very little that is fair in the world, but a line is fair, and thus we should respect it whenever possible. Second, she deliberately and intentionally assumed that her time was more valuable than yours in doing so. There is no bigger sin than wasting someone's time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Good on you for being the instrument of sweet, compressed justice." Somebody responds to that and says, "Third, she did her little I got what I want wave, and that shit was glorious to see smack her back in the face." Another comment says, "She got off easy. Smug luxury car drivers have a special place in hell." And that's a perfect way to describe Wawa.
Mm.
Which I don't know what a Wawa is, but if I were,
I
I
want to
think
know
that
what
would
a Wawa
perfectly
is.
describe it.
I want to know. I'm just saying, in the Midwest, all we have is gas stations that make pizza and
Got it.
crackheads inside of them. Also, gas stations with lottery machines. So many.
Slot
Um,
machines in the gas stations.
you ever go to a date night at the gas station? A lottery
Weird
machine.
words. Another comment says, "I'm surprised the BMW was actually the good guy in this story."
Right.
Every other story I've ever heard about somebody in a BMW, they're a fucking asshole.
Piece of shit.
Another one says, "That's the hardest my dick has ever been while eating lunch." Last one says, "Justice boner? No. Reading that gave me a justice orgasm."
How? Leave it to the internet to make it sexual, you know?
Absolutely.
I love that for the internet.
These comments were written by men. I can promise you.
Well, I mean, the hardest my dick has ever been while eating lunch. I mean,
I don't know. My dick gets pretty hard sometimes too. So.
while eating lunch, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well,
I would
that
opposed to other time of the days, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, should we
No.
wrap her up?
Yeah.
We can.
That's all I have for you today. This was so much fun to do. I love Reddit.
I think it definitely wild. I think the coconut story has ruminated, and I will never forget it. Thanks for showing it.
You're so welcome. I'm forever traumatized. So
Question marks and uncomfortableness. That's what we've got here for that story. But it was a good time. It was a fun time. A little Reddit read through. Next week will be, or I don't know if we're doing this weekly shit. I don't know.
Probably
next episode.
Not, but next time.
We'll see how life shakes out.
We'll have something else.
Something new. I don't know what. It's going to be my topic. I don't know. We might come in here and just have a good time. For all I know. Making some. But yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll have all kinds of different stuff in there. And I'll just do a shout out real quick for my pops and my granny. The past week or so has not been super easy in our household. Yeah. Yeah, it's been definitely a rough few days. People that changed my life and definitely impacted it the most. We lost them, and definitely the world's not going to be the same place without them. Not my world, at least. But it's just a little shout out to say I love them, let them know, that I love
Yes.
them, and I hope they're
They will
proud of
be
me
so missed, and they are so proud of you.
and so missed. But we'll come back next week. We'll or
Yes.
whenever we
Whenever.
get
We'll
back to it,
see you when we see
and
you.
we'll get some fun stuff going on. Get some laughs, some hearty har hars. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just pull together some old vines from the golden era, and maybe we can
Ooh.
we can play through some shit like that, or
That'll be fun. Little compilation
just
reaction
see,
thing.
gold. But we appreciate you
Yes,
for
thank you so
spending the time with
much.
us and reading some stories and
Yes.
hanging out, and well, keep a fucking eye out. Keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out.
Yes, okay,
We got the
bye.
goods. Bye.
This has been
Pretty
pretty
graphic
good podcast.
podcast.